How can an eye doctor's vision become focused on notes? Stay tuned. So welcome to this week's edition to Note School TV, where, well, we bring you the most amazing guests and the most amazing content every week. When? At 11:05 Central Time. So this week we do have an amazing guest, and she's an optometrist. So we'll bring her on in just a few minutes. Wonderful lady, very smart. Before we do, couple of things here. Number one, if you would go ahead and hit that like button. Boom. Tell us that you like this episode. Number two, subscribe to Note School TV if you have not already done so. And number three, hit that bell notification. Boom. Hit it right now so that you'll know every week when we go live. When? Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. Also, keep those comments coming. Guys, we love to hear from you. Eddie and I, we read those. You're not just typing them and they go into the netherworld. It's right there. We read them. We love them. So thank you for doing that, and please continue to do so. And if you would like to learn more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. With that, well, why don't we go ahead and do what we do every week at this time? Let's bring up the news. First article here I've got is from NBC News, and it says, with car repossessions and home foreclosures rising, some Americans are living on a financial cliff. A growing number of Americans have found themselves strapped for cash and looking for financial relief as the economy does slow down some, but we're not in a recession, right? And I thought this was interesting. An alarming 39% of Americans say they have skipped meals to make housing payments. And our guest today, she's going to talk a bit about, well, a program that the feds do that helps people keep their houses and help them make their house payments. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Guys, we've got a savings slump after jumping nearly 34% during the pandemic. The personal savings rate is now down roughly an eighth of that. You can see as that goes across. We're down way down here in 2023 as less than 5% of personal disposable income. Household debt is on the way up as we go through, and this is from the New York Fed. And we can see it here. It has been steadily rising. And then credit card debt. Guys, this number right here is actually $1.25 trillion in revolving credit card debt. And folks, we would certainly not be telling you about these things if we did not have a good reason. And we can show you, well, at Note School, we show you how to close more deals, and we thrive. Seller financing, creative financings thrives in these times. So that's the news for this week. We'll keep you posted. Let's now bring on, well, founder of Note School, Chief Visionary Officer, my friend, Mr. W. Eddie Speed.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you, sir? I like your green shirt, man. It's a money shirt.
Yeah. It's that time of year. My little lightweight shirt, and it's warming up here in Texas. And I think you said it well, Joe. The economy is warming up, but not in the way that most people are thinking.
Eddie, I think that there has been more news as far as commercial loans, regional banks, affordability, everything you can think of in the last week than there has been in the last couple of months. So
big story brewing. The thing about it, guys, we try to balance things out a little bit. Our story today is about an eye doctor.
Yep.
Who has added this to her life, her business, and her investing activities. And she's got a great story. So much to say about the economy, Joe. I'm gonna summarize it by saying this:
Yep.
We do really well in disruptive markets.
We do.
And so this disruptive market that we see in front of us is kind of a, let's just say we're you and our little rabbits, Joe, and this is our briar patch.
Well, and you said it well last week when you said we have more people coming to Note School now than we've, like crazy numbers. So getting ready to do another 3-day class this week. So yeah.
Grateful for
that.
All
right. I'm going to let you bring on Miss Emily, and we'll see you in a minute.
All right. So our guest this week has a great story. She is a full-time doctor, and she's a part-time investor, and she's got a great story. Her and her husband combined have a great story, and but you're gonna love seeing and hearing her story. You guys welcome Miss Emily Thompson.
Hey everyone.
How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing good. So you're at the old doctor's office today?
I am. I'm on my lunch break right now talking to you.
All right. Well, we are glad to have you. Emily, you are optometrist by trade.
Yes, sir.
And so your husband is a real estate investor.
He is.
Kind of his gig, right?
That's his gig since November of 2019. He was previously an IT guy and got into real estate investing with our buy and hold rentals. And he was able to make more with the rentals than his day job within a couple of years with a good coach. And so he has been unemployed since then and managing our rental portfolio.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about your venture because you didn't exactly go down that path. And I want to talk about that. Like, how did you get started? How did you find us? Because I don't actually know this, by the way. I know I should, but, we have enough things going now that I don't know exactly everybody's initial little, way they cracked in. How did you find us and what were you looking for?
In 2018, my husband and I did a coaching program with a local real estate investor who had done some coaching with a big guy in Dallas who mentioned in one of the trainings that he also invests in notes. And at the time, I wasn't super interested in the rental side of things, but the notes, being the bank, seemed to catch my attention. So ever since I heard about that, and he did mention your program, I said, this is my goal and this is what I want to do eventually. And so last year, we were able to refinance a big package of rental properties and had some cash to start playing in the note business.
That's great. So you were looking for something different from rentals because I guess you were worried about time, right?
Right. I don't have, because I'm working full time, I don't have time to go look at properties during the daytime and go into the smelly houses and dangerous places and that type of thing that my husband does on a regular basis. So I wanted to be able to manage things from the comfort of my office. And that it seems like notes is the perfect space for that because I can do my due diligence online at home after hours or in between my patients and get all of that stuff done without physically being at the property to check up, kick the walls and that kind of thing.
So you got started with us. I'm certain you probably went down a little trail. You probably went to a little couple hour kind of a class thing, and then you went to a 3-day. And, as you look back now, Emily, you realize that they're building blocks, right? We talk about things that we do in the very beginning of training that then lead to understanding more about kind of the punchline of the story, right?
Definitely.
Then you joined our coaching program, and so what were you looking for in a coach? What were you looking for in us?
Well, I definitely wanted a coach who has experience doing the things that I want to be doing. And we've had various coaches and mentors, and I think finding the person that does what you want to do is the most important aspect of a coach. If you're not set up with someone that does what you want to do, then it doesn't matter what they teach you or their experience is, because it's not going to give you what you need. So you've done 50,000 notes since 1980. That sounds like a decent number, you know? So I felt comfortable with your experience and have heard great things about your program. So I felt comfortable and like I was in the right hands to build my business.
Well, that means a lot to us. Yeah, sometimes gray hair does matter, you know, and
I have some. You can't see
yeah,
it. It's
yeah.
highlight.
Well, I so enjoy you and your husband, Jason, and just every time we're around, obviously we hang out on calls a lot, but on Deal Labs, but just when we get to see you guys at the live events and just the time together, and what I want to thank you on behalf of all of our Note School ecosystem is that you bring a smile and a bright light. So thank you for that. Yeah. All right. So I want to give them a sense. You just listed out just a short list of assets, not everything you've done by far at all, but just a short list of assets. Because I think sometimes people don't, like you said a couple of important things. You really said you can do this from a desktop, right? And that you don't have to go on a tool belt, and you don't have to, it can be somebody's boots on the ground without being your boots, right?
Right.
And I think you've seen us really emphasize that, because that's when students start really realizing they could do something. So the first asset you bought is in Aiken, South Carolina.
So we started on the pathway of wanting to have performing loans. That seemed like the safe way. And when my husband and I were talking about which loans to purchase, we're like, well, eventually one of them will turn into non-performing and we'll learn it that way. And soon enough, this one did turn into a non-performing loan where the borrower was just falling a little bit farther and farther behind each month. So I had talked to my servicer about speaking to the borrowers about the state COVID relief fund. So a lot of people have heard that there is relief for renters. There is also a relief program for homeowners in all 50 states. And so I've learned about a few of the different programs, and the rules vary from state to state. But this particular property in South Carolina, the borrower was very interested and they signed up right away. At Note School, when I was talking to this person from the servicing company, they told me that the borrower was just approved for their assistance fund. So that was at Note Expo, if I said that wrong. So back in November, they were approved. And last month, we actually finally received the payment, which covered all of their back taxes, insurance for the rest of the year, their back payments that they owed, and the forced place insurance that we had put in effect for them while they were not able to pay. Plus, as a bonus, this had about $5,000 in arrearages from the previous servicer. So we got a check for around $11,000, and the borrower is now up to date, and they don't have to worry about the insurance for the rest of the year. So they have a big sigh of relief. And it took a while, as does any government program, but eventually it came to fruition. And so they're very excited about that. I've spoken to the borrower through like text messages, and they're just super grateful. Every time he talks to me, he says, "Thank you so much for all of the help that you've given us." So it makes me feel good.
Well, back in the last era, there was hardest hit funds, and we did a lot of research and we coached a lot of students of how to go get availability of that money. And so when this program came around, we wanted to really emphasize it again, right? Because, this is a little bit of kind of having the seat at the table. Like there's not many small note investors that would know this. And you're saying, well, yeah, but your servicer does. Well, let's be honest about it. you have to prod the servicers to get them to really do this. Am I right? Like, I mean,
Definitely.
they follow, they follow your directions. And the more you know, the more effective you're probably going to be in servicer management. No criticism of them. That's just how it is. Right. So we're thrilled that you got, what did you pay for the note?
I think I paid $63,000 for that note. And so I was paid $11,000 back. And I think they were about 6 months behind by the time the payments came in. So they're in a good place right now. And with that property, we bought it well. And so there's a lot of equity in the property too.
Yeah. You don't want to take the property, but if you did, it would be a profit center.
Right.
You just want them to pay. And, I guess the deal is people are in this story, I'm guessing they're just working class and they got behind and they just couldn't catch up.
Right. And the good thing about this story is that the payments were made literally a week before they shut the program down. So the South Carolina program was closed effective April 20th of this year. So some of the other states might be shutting their funds down too. So if this is something that would be beneficial to anybody that's listening, their borrowers, get them to sign up for it as fast as possible.
We've had, that's a little early. I haven't heard of most states shutting down yet, but we've had so many case studies about this with our assets as well as students' assets. And so it's been a really cool thing. I'm going to jump the fence here with you for a moment. You bought a performing note, and after you bought it and it was making payments for a while, all of a sudden they got in trouble just because so many businesses were negatively affected, right, by COVID. In this case, you bought a note that is not paying, a non-performing note over in a big military area, Lawton, Oklahoma. Now, you live in Oklahoma, but you're not exactly around Lawton, right?
About an hour and 10 minutes away.
Okay. But obviously, you're trying to not go over there. You're trying to handle boots on the ground. So you bought a note that didn't pay, and tell us about that.
So this note we purchased last year. I cashed in my brokerage account to purchase this note. It seemed smarter than waiting for the stock market to do its thing. So I purchased this note, and we are going through the foreclosure process. The borrower has abandoned the property. So she no longer lives there, and I had it secured by one of our vendors. My husband really wanted to go and secure it himself, and I said, no, Eddie would not approve. Don't swing your own hammer, is what Eddie likes to say.
Yeah.
So we have it secured. I did actually find an email through doing a skip trace for the borrower, and I asked her if she would be interested in a deed in lieu. And I offered her $1,000 in exchange for the deed in lieu. And she said, yeah, that sounds good. And then a couple days later came back and said, oh, wait, I want $5,000. And I'm like, well, that's a little bit much. So we just decided that because the property has a lot of equity, and it's accruing about $17 a day in interest or overdue money due to us, that we're just going to wait for the sheriff's sale to happen. And so I think that we are just waiting for judgment now. So should be going to the auction any day.
So how much do you have invested in that note?
I have about 40,000 invested right now, and she owes around 65, I think. So it's
What's
worth
the property
around
worth?
It's worth around 80 or 90.
Okay. So if somebody comes in at the foreclosure sale and bids more than your payoff, and you're entitled to everything, interest from the past, taxes, insurance, anything that any prior note holder has spent is also something that you're entitled to. So not even money that you had to advance.
Right.
So, generally speaking, I wouldn't be surprised that that's going to be another 10% at least.
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet that shows me what to expect with the daily accrual. And so it says about $19,000 as of right now. So
Wow.
not too bad.
So either way, whether you end up having to take possession of the property or whether you just get paid off, you're going to, well, I bet you the stock market wouldn't have been that good to you.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And our backup plan is if it doesn't sell at the auction, that we would. It doesn't look like it needs much work, and it's in a good part of town. So we would fix it up. Probably wouldn't need to put more than $5,000 or $10,000 into it, and try to seller finance that as well. So we have another note in our pocket.
So you bought a note going in and a note going out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bad note going in and a good note going out.
The only thing I wish that I would have done is bought it in my IRA, so then I didn't have to pay taxes on that money.
Well, you got that choice on other deals too, right? That's great. All right, so one last deal, and we're giving them a little grab bag today, Emily, because you have done a performing note that you reworked. You bought a non-performing note that obviously we're looking at the exit and it looks pretty solid, right? Now we're going to talk about the last one is where you guys took a rental and then owner financed your way out of a rental. Let's talk about that one.
Okay. So my husband has around 26 properties in the Oklahoma City area, and he has tightened up his criteria for what his ideal rentals look like. And so we had this property that didn't fit into the criteria very well anymore, and he needed to remodel it anyway. So he decided to remodel it basically down to the studs, and we put in new AC, new plumbing, new electrical in a lot of it. So it's basically a brand new house on the inside. And we decided to put in a little bit nicer finishings than we would for normal rentals to try and see if we could sell our finance. So with this property, I listed it after it was finished on Facebook Marketplace and had a few hits, nothing substantial that had a good down payment. But then I decided to put it on, good old Craigslist, and he did 2 showings on the property after that. And the second person decided she wanted to apply. And we did go through 1-800 or calltheunderwriter.com to get the certificate saying that she was Dodd-Frank compliant and could meet the income requirements and all that good stuff. And so we were able to sell or finance that property. We sold it in January, and the borrowers made all of her payments on time. And she is super excited to be able to have this great new house with, granite countertops, and it's a very nice house with large bedrooms. And she is a wholesaler. So she doesn't have the W-2 income like I would to be able to get a good rate from the bank. So she's really excited about that. Jason's income from having it as a rental would be around $200 or $300 a month. And as the mortgage payment, she's making a $1,200 a month payment. So that's a big improvement for Jason.
Okay, would you say that again?
Yeah, so
he would have made $200 or $300 net income a month as a rental.
Yep. And now it's $1,200
because he carried a note.
Yep. So about $1,000 difference.
So 1,200 versus 200.
Yep.
And people wonder why landlords convert to seller financing.
I haven't convinced him to do it for the rest of them, but we're working on it.
You know what? I think diversity is good, and I don't know that I would necessarily tell him to go owner finance his entire portfolio. But I will tell you that, as you know, Emily, we run this math all the time on Deal Labs.
Mm-hmm.
And people that are new to note school, they're just like, what? And then all of a sudden, it's pretty amazing how many note school members then decide to do a little or a lot of this because of that very reason.
Yep.
Emily,
my favorite party trick is getting
to somebody that's on the sidelines about just considering this business.
I think it's a really great business to be in right now. We have a lot of opportunity to create notes for properties that you already have if you're a tired landlord. And there's a lot of opportunity to get houses at good deals right now, considering the market. And like Joe was saying, how people they're picking between eating and paying their housing costs. So that's not a great situation for people to be in. But if we have the means to be able to help other people out, then it's a great way to do it. It's very satisfying, and you're helping your neighbors.
Joe Varnador, I like how you opened it. We got a eye doctor with a vision for notes.
She has it. She has it. So, Emily, baby steps as far as Jason and the rentals, right? Number one. Number two, I was looking while you guys were talking, and the Homeowners Assistance Fund, it is still available in 46 of the 50 states. And we were talking earlier, you've got another one in Georgia, and that is still available, up to 50 grand, $50,000. So you've got another one in Georgia you're looking to put in that program, but we're proud of you, ma'am. Dr. Thompson, right? So we are very proud of you and what you have been able to accomplish. You're an inspiration. And Eddie, we're going to get to see Jason and Emily here in a couple of weeks at Summer Summit, our membership get together we do this time of year every year.
I know. I'm excited to see them. Emily, as I said before, Emily, you're a bright light in our ecosystem. You just have a pleasant face, and you're a good problem solver. You come very tactical in saying, how do I do this if I have this scenario? And you're doing it well, and I'm so glad that you can do this. I used to say you can make a full-time living on a part-time basis.
Right on.
Right. And I think part-time is obviously an essential thing, because we got a lot of people that need you to be an eye doctor too.
That's right. There's people in Oklahoma City couldn't live without you right now.
Exactly. They wouldn't have any vision at all if it weren't.
They wouldn't have any vision at all. But
all right. Thank you, Emily. You're awesome. We so appreciate you sharing with the audience. And I can tell you that you are doing the things that a lot of people would like to do. And congratulations on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
Tell Jason, hey, sorry he couldn't make it today. So guys, well, you see it, you heard it directly from Dr. Thompson. She is out there doing what she loves to do now. She found her place in the note space. And one of the things that we do say about the note business that's different from other aspects of real estate investing is you do the work once and you get paid for years and years and years. You don't have to struggle with it every month. And that's one of the other things we love about the note business. Guys, we would love to see you at one of our master classes. They're done by Eddie and our Chief Market Officer, Max Keller. We'd love to have you in one of those. For more information on how to attend that, and hey, we'll let you come for free, guys. It's a couple of hours, but we'd love to have you in one of those. So just go to noteschool.com/TV, and we'd love to see you in one of those and see you in a Note School class very soon. Thanks so much for being here today. Thanks again, Emily and Eddie, and we'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Have a great week.